Hello everybody, welcome back to Dominions 5. We're back into our late age Tenchi game. And let's take a look at our messages here. So we Twiceborn, we Empowered in Fire. Atlantis here takes this throne. Not sure exactly what throne it is, we'll find out soon enough. It was protected by a fairly large indie force, but yeah, so we've got Berserker Centaur Warriors, a lot of heavy calves, so there's a lot of meat here. But as long as we're in cold, I think these guys should do just fine. Yep, 23 protection, because they got ice protection too, so I think he's doing okay here. He's got some sacreds. I don't even think he's blessed them. He's got some evocation, yeah, so Atlantis goes evocation, so they can do Stygian skin. But he's using that now to do Falling Frost, which is incredibly effective here. Chilling all of these guys. So Atlantis has just this really tanky front line, and then he's using some Frost evocations. Now he's a little... Unfortunately, his formation fell a little short on the end here, so these guys are kind of getting munched. But he's more than making up for it on this end of things. And yeah, something you can do to avoid this is to always have, like, so he had like his main front line of troops here, but then your back line, like by default, most troops are going to kind of filter towards the middle. And actually it's interesting that these guys routed to morale. They never got hit, so they didn't get a chance to go berserk. But like, see this blob, all these guys have done nothing the whole fight. So instead, if you separate this into two big blobs here, one on the bottom and one at the top, and have them hold an attack rear, then they'll kind of naturally filter around the edges and stop this wraparound from happening. Anyways, he loses a few ice cards, but nothing too bad. And there wasn't much in terms of mage support here. So this was like all beef, but no mage support. Anyways, good on him. Now, unfortunately here, we get attacked by direwolves. And remember those shamblers that we had been recruiting, that we sent underwater, lost, and then we were recruiting more, and we figured, oh, we'll just bring them over here. Well, they got killed. And this is actually sort of unfortunate in terms of logistics. So we have to think about how we're going to deal with this. Okay, it's turn 34. We can script offensive actions now against man. The nap has ended. But the nap has ended, but we're still like maybe a turn away from Alteration 7. So, what are we going to do? First of all, let's check. Let's do a bit of recruitment micro here. I mean, we'll have him research just for now. And I think we have some skull staves to assign, so let's do those. All right, and let's just see, that brings our research over the threshold. Now, of course, we might move our army this turn, but let's think about this for a minute. So last turn, man's army was here, and it moved up here. And his army is mostly longbowmen, and some Tsushi, and I've heard that this is pronounced she, but I could be wrong. And then Tower Knights and Wardens. We're just going to call these doggies, because that's what they are. So, here's the thing. I declared war, and sort of in the psychology of these strategy games, it's sort of implied that I'm the aggressor and that I want to go and conquer him. And I think naturally this player's reaction is going to be to defend what he has. Like in his position, so he has some army here, but you can see it's mainly magisters, which means he just has like a ton of researchers here and mages, but not a lot of army here. So he has a couple of moves. He sees my big army here, by the way. So for sure, one of my possible moves is moving onto this fort. But honestly, there's nothing he can do to stop that right now. So but here's the thing. He can't move offensively with these mages because they won't be supported by his army. I mean, he could do it in a small raiding force, and we'll see if he chooses to do that. He could, because the mages only have like a map move of 12. So he can't even move onto this fort. Like if he wanted to move in here, he could move with this army, but these mages would kind of stay here, which maybe he's fine with, right? So my point is, I don't think it's hard to tell. What I'm kind of getting at is it's implied almost that I'm going to attack him right now. And so something that you can do is to not do what's expected of you. So it might be expected of me that I move in with my big army onto this fort. I think, given that he moved from here to here, his thinking is he's going to combine this army with all his mages and create his big doom stack and then go do something with it. And maybe he wants to have the big fight this turn, and he probably is in a very good position, right? So he's got a ton of air mages that can communion up. I'm sure he has Conjuration 5. He probably has that and Evocation 5, so he's probably in a position to do... and he's using a lot of longbows, so I'm expecting Flaming Arrows. So this is going to be rough. So what we are going to do, I think, instead, is do one more turn of prep, but we're going to do a bit of raiding as well. So we are going to do a couple of things here. One thing we're going to do is let's take this guy. Like, I'd like to clear out these guys over here to give me this access back. Now, if he moves with his big army here, I don't want to lose a lot of stuff fighting these wolves and dire wolves. Now let's actually see how much stuff is left here. What are we up against? They just kind of move fast. They'd have a bit of... Yeah, it's a bunch of little wolves. All right. Let's consider moving this guy back here to pick up new sacreds. And let's actually drop these items here. You just take a handful of sacreds like this. We could do something like this. This would be on guard. This would be hold an attack closest, stay behind troops. And we just kind of do this basically. So this should be sufficient to take on these wolves. And honestly, perhaps a small raiding force, but I'm not overcommitting. If he moves with his big army here, we'll lose like 6 sacreds, but it's really not the end of the world. Then next turn, we'll have a fresh cavalry in position to take these 6 plus whatever, these 7 sacred. So we'll have another little raiding or little squad ready to go here. Okay, that's what's happening here. Here, we're going to go raiding this way. Now, what we have available to us here is actually not sacreds. So we're just going to take this Khan and go like this. Actually, you know what we can do is these guys can raid and pillage. And I'm kind of tempted to do that just for the fun of it. So what you can do is you can do raid, and this gives us this symbol that you don't see that often. Or I can just go and attack. It's tempting to do both. Okay, so here's how it works. So raiding does the pillage action in this province, which basically increases unrest, reduces population, and gives you gold. And there's a chance that you're going to fight the PD. But the downside is you don't get the opportunity to take over the province. But you know, like, it's not. I'm not going to intercept these judges. These guys are moving, so let's do it. Let's just have fun with LA Tianqi. Now here, actually, we're not going to do that. Here, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to take these guys, put them on, like, I guess, a nature mage or whatever. And here we're actually just going to go on to the fort. And that is because this appears to be mostly undefended. I could be completely wrong about that, of course. We'll find out next turn, no doubt. But I don't see any major armies here. Now, he could have, wardens or stealthy. There's a lot of possibilities. But I don't mind wagering like 10 heavy cav to find out. And with this, I could just lock down one of his forts and stop recruitment. Now, the script for this is going to be... Hold on, attack. Actually, we're going to split this into two. Oh, no. This guy's such terrible leadership. Too bad. I wish I had recruited a general here. Well, fine. We're just going to do... Because this guy is so weak... Okay, we actually have to cast some useful things, like maybe Moss Body. I don't have poison resistance on these guys. So what we could do instead is like Swarm. And then let's actually do Liquid Body. Sorry about that. I tried to click pause recording, but I missed as my body convulsed and I sneezed. Let's do Swarm, Bark Skin, and Advance and Cast Spells. Let's just do this. Very simple script. Okay. Next here, I also want to raid into this province. I think actually the most important thing, the main thing I want to do here is I want to poke this province. But let's see if we can poke it while also gem baiting. So why don't we... Who is going to be the best man for the job? It'll be somebody who's twice born, like this guy. Now we're going to give him some gems. Let's see what I would have him do to properly gem bait. We could definitely do... I'm thinking like Horde of Skeletons, Swarm. Maybe Swarm first. Let's do Swarm. Horde of Skeletons. All right, Swarm is going to put him at like 50 fatigue. Horde of Skeletons, 90 fatigue. He'll be almost passed out just from casting those two spells. So maybe instead... Oh, here, I know, we're going to do... No, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do Soul Vortex, which will use a Death Gem, and we're not going to do conservative gem usage. So we'll do Soul Vortex... vulnerability, Bark Skin, Like, no, there's no way this survives. So on the off chance, so the idea of Swarm is going to like provide like distracting targets. Invulnerability. I think we actually need to do Skeletal Body and then Bark Skin. I don't know, something like this. All right. And we're going to give you one guy here to guard, and we're going to give you one guy here to be like a distraction. 13 hit points, 12 hit points, yeah. That shouldn't cause any like HP route issues. So the idea here is to do a gem bait, but also to actually legitimately try to survive as long as possible so that the gem bait is more effective. Also to see his script, just to get an idea for what's about to happen here. And this actually kind of has a chance of killing a tiny amount of PD. And in any case, he's twice born, so that's fine. So now let's go ahead and twice born this guy. Let's see if there are any other people here who aren't twice born that should be. You're not. You were forging. This guy just twice born himself, so he's good to go. Right now I'm just putting everybody on research until I decide what to do with people. Let's get these guys waiting. You're twice born. How about you? Not yet. So let's get you a skull staff. Twice born. And you're twice born as well. All right, let's just go around, and this guy here. Let's go around quickly doing some of the rest of the micro for the turn. So we wanted to make more of these armors, which I'm all in favor of. This guy was going to start forging our swords, but before we do that, he's old, and we're in winter. So before he gets any more afflicted, we're actually going to do internal alchemy, which will reduce his age by 15 years, which will put him... So the max age used to be... So I got some interference here. The max age used to be 200 last turn, but because we gave him one point in fire mages have shorter lives, so it brought it down to 190. But internal alchemy should bring us to 189 years, so he won't be old anymore, at least for another year. So let's do that. You here can just site search. Okay, here we forged the cornucopia, which is a thing we had done. We site searched here. It looks like we didn't find anything. Let's just have you research for a moment. You know what we could do here? Oh, this is a very valuable province, but... So, I mean, obviously I do want to build a fort here. We can't afford it right now. It wouldn't be crazy to get a couple of turns of blood hunting in. Just to get a couple of gems if we needed to forge a special item. A blood item. Like maybe an earth booster. Right. So... yeah, let's get a couple turns of blood hunting in here. Looks like I never set any PD, which seems like an awful plan. There was some site searching here that I wanted to do. Nature needs to be searched down here. Why don't we get to work on that? And Earth also. that'll have to do for now. Now, we're not recruiting much. We're recruiting what we can. I would like to, let's see. Here we're recruiting another mage. I'd like to do, in terms of the rest of my movements, I do want to go and take this province. Not just raid it for the income, but actually take it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one mage, and actually we'll take some sacreds. Here, let's actually put everybody here, just so we can get a count of, get sort of an accurate head count here. So we have 112 sacreds and a handful of non-sacreds. Quite well organized. All right, that's going to be my my little attack squad here. This scout is going to stay here because this guy is probably not going to succeed in his mission, so I still want to have eyes on what's going on here. Okay, so this, I know this seems quite timid in terms of a first step in the war, but the reality is we really need Alteration 7, and honestly, I don't mind waiting another 2 turns for, I don't mind like dancing around and waiting for the big battle until we have Arrowfend. So if we kind of dance around for 2 or 3 turns, just me doing a bit of raiding and avoiding the big fight. Now, obviously, if he marches onto my capital, we'll have to take the big fight. But even then, I can probably afford to wait 2 turns because he's not going to 1 turn pop the capital. Like, let's say he does this next turn. I still haven't fought him. Then he moves here next turn like he wants the big fight on my capital. I can move my army in position here or here. And then he probably moves, you know, like we can delay this fight if we want to. Now, if he moves here, that might force my hand. So we'll have to, it'll depend how quickly he pops this fort wall. But I think that's what we're going to have to do. Okay, but in terms of more like prep that we can do here, in terms of forging items and things like that, casting ritual spells, summoning stuff, what else do we need? All right, so we want to be doing like anti-magic, so we're going to have one of these guys with this thing just doing anti-magic on turn 1, so that'll be that. One thing I am concerned about is we don't have a lot of air to do shock resistance, which we're really going to need because he's going to be doing a ton of shock damage, whether it's air elementals or Thunderstrike. Unfortunately, we're a little low on Air 2 mages, so I think we're going to have to communion up Air 1 mages, which is not ideal. in terms of astral air, so this guy is like one of our main astral air guys. This will probably end up being the Fog Warriors caster. We'll probably Communion Master up one of these guys to do Divine Blessing, because remember, our Prophet died a while ago. And so all this is telling me that I actually need to bring a couple more of these Camp Mages over. So we're going to do that. Oh, it looks like some of them can make it. Great. Actually, who can't make it? Maybe that will be our... So this guy can make it. What about you? No, you can make it. Great. Like the young guys. And you can make it. All right, we'll do that. So these guys could either do Power of the Spheres or Communion up, and then they can do sort of a short-range Thunder Ward. Now, in Alteration, we can also do Lightning Resistance here with Summon Earth Power and then Lightning Resistance, so that's another option. We are going to have a couple of air guys. The thing is, my Earth 2s, I kind of like them for forging. So maybe what we do here is instead of recruiting another Nature Mage, let's recruit an Earth Mage. And with the money we have left over, I'd like to recruit... actually, let's actually recruit a Khan here, because they're slightly better than the generals. If I had the money, I'd recruit 2 generals, because it'd be more useful to me right now to have 2 like different commanders. But let's just get more commanders, so we can lead our troops a bit better. Okay. All right. Now, is there any more sort of death forging? We've burned through a ton of death gems, but doing great things. Doing a lot of twice spawning and then forging a lot of skull staffs, skull mentors. So I'm quite happy with that. Anyways, is there anything in death that we would like to cast that would benefit from having more skull staffs? You know, we could do a bit of Arouse Hunger. We have 2 skull staffs. That could be a thing. What's the range on Arouse Hunger? 5 provinces. Can these guys reach? Yeah. We could do some long-range rituals here. So let's make one more skull staff. Instead of making a skull mentor here, actually, we have a hammer, so let's not waste death gems just because we have high income. Let's make another skull staff. Actually, I should be using my... Oh, he's making a skull mentor. That's okay. And another skull mentor. All right. Are there any... like useful... I'm still low in conjuration. Oh, we could get some herds. We could summon some buffalo here. The Celestial Hounds are actually some nice little sacreds to grab, but I don't quite have conjuration for yet. I think it's more important to get Arrowfen, but we could dump a few nature gems into buffalo. Buffalo are really nice. They're size 4 trampling berserker animals. So let's grab some. Actually, we can do 2 casts of it because we can Thistle Mace another nature 2. So we could do this. Because he's twice spawned. We have decent enough nature income that I'm not too worried about spending 20. And it's actually a lot of the nature summons are like, I mean, like the wolves are good for patrolling, but not too much else at this stage of the game. But the buffalo are actual legit summons. They can be pretty nasty versus human troops. Okay, that's going to be it for this turn. I'm really curious to see how he's going to move. Also, I don't know. He might have another huge army coming this way, right? There's a lot of surprises in stock for us in this conflict. Let's do that for now, and we'll see how things turn up next turn. So see you guys then. Take care.